What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big Johnny G, the Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming! What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another Midday Monologue Monday. Ooh. So as you know, I'm coming out here to do a little talking, a little chatting about ideas and concepts that cross my mind. And I have an interesting one today, especially since we are well into October now. The Halloween season is upon us, and thoughts of monsters, creatures, and evil spirits abound. Now this topic today is about such a creature, one that I find missing for most board games. And I think that that is a crime. And I have a question. Where are all the werewolves? Yes, it is a legitimate question that I have because I love werewolves. I love the mythology of werewolves, both the modern day mythology as well as hearkening back to the ancient roots of it found in medieval France and other older places, but primarily what we have today comes to us from old French stories about werewolves. Where are they all? How come we don't see them represented in games? There are tons of zombie games. I mean, you can't throw a femur without hitting a zombie game these days. And the same thing goes for games that are inspired by H.P. Lovecraft, the Cthulhian mythos. We are drowning in the mythos. But where? Where are all the staples of horror? Werewolves, one of the oldest staples in human mythology, gone, missing. Well, I mean, there's a couple of games, like Are You a Werewolf? One Night a Werewolf, Ultimate Night a Werewolf. Those are all pretty much the same. And there's some games that incorporate werewolves into them. But where are all the werewolves? Really? That's what I want to talk about today. So why don't you join me down the bench? We're almost there now. We're almost at the bench, coming upon it. And we're going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about my love of werewolves and why there's not more games incorporating this. Especially, as I said, since October is upon us. All right, with the loud background noise signaling that I am at the spot that I need to be in. So thank you all, and I'll see you down at the bench. So where are all the werewolves in board games? A perfect creature, a perfect monster, a perfect character, I think, for players to run in a game. Why do I think a werewolf would be a perfect character for a person to run in a game? Because you kinda don't really get just one character. I mean, if you're a werewolf, there's probably going to be at least 3 versions of your character sheet, right? You got the wolf, the human, and the half, the hybrid. And I think that could be pretty interesting. Almost like some of the games nowadays I've seen coming out, such as Firefly, are showing that you can have your characters in different stances, which gives them different abilities during their turn. The same thing with the werewolf shapes. I mean, it's perfect. It practically writes itself. And besides, as I already said in the intro, these are monsters that are unused, and I don't understand why. They've been around scaring humans for thousands of years. Well, at least the concept of a werewolf has been scaring humans for thousands of years. Yeah, going all the way back to ancient Greek times, when you're talking about King Lycaon, who tried to test Zeus's omniscience by serving him human flesh. Not just any human flesh, but the flesh of his own son that he killed just to test the god. And by the way, if you're not familiar with that story, Zeus was not fooled. He poured a flood upon the world for mankind's hubris and turned the king himself into a wolf. one of the first stories of a man being turned into a wolf. There are some earlier stories that cryptozoologists and werewolfologists might consider early werewolf stories, like Enki from the Sumerian stories, who was an early man who helped Gilgamesh achieve his goal of reaching the gods. But our real modern-day belief system of werewolves kind of comes from the werewolf craze that happened in France back in the Middle Ages. That's where we get a lot of our modern-day concepts from. Now, what about a game set in that time period? I mean, I already think that games that are set in historical time periods, such as A Touch of Evil, their fun level goes a little bit further because it's not the kind of a setting that you usually see inside a board game. And to take it and to add on pseudo-history. I call it pseudo-history because there are actual case files going back into ancient France talking about these villages that are being harassed and hunted by werewolves. And the government had to send people in to deal with it. So that's what I mean pseudo-historical. Really, there are real records of it, but what the people were encountering, we're never going to really know in this time period. But werewolves also serve a greater purpose. They serve as the harbingers of nature, especially in a world like today where nature is disappearing. And that's one of the reasons back in the 80s, I really fell in love with the White Wolf role-playing game, Werewolf, the Apocalypse, which I think would make a wonderful board game. In fact, a series of board games. I can even see the main game coming with maybe 5 playable tribes of werewolves. And then, of course, the evil werewolf tribe, which would be NPCs, which wouldn't be run by a player, unless it's a one-versus-all game. And that would be the Black Spiral Dancers, formerly known as the White Howlers before they became corrupted by the evil forces of the Worm. The game is begging itself to be a board game. And that's not the only thing. Although there aren't a lot of real cases of positive werewolf stories, most of them they are never the protagonist. They're almost always the antagonist. You know, that's another thing I've often crossed my mind. Maybe we view the werewolf as wild because of the wolf side, not the human side. But I think that's incorrect. I think more of the wild side would come from the human aspect. Because of all the animals on the earth, the only one that seems to have the hubris of pride, which can be its downfall, is humans. Most animals, including wolves, don't seem to have this flaw. So if you're going to be a ravaging, hate-filled werewolf, I'm guessing a lot of that comes from the human side. Now, the game could also have a very good balance. Any werewolf game. I'm not trying to describe a game to you. I'm just explaining how it would work as a board game, why it would work as a board game, you know? And I could see certain aspects of the game being dictated by your current emotional condition as well. Perhaps in the middle of a fight, you only have certain cards that you're able to draw from because you are starting to frenzy. You are starting to go feral. And you're doing more reacting than actual thinking. But why aren't there more werewolves board games? Again, like I said in the beginning, in the intro, there's Are You a Werewolf, which is a really kind of cheap version of Werewolf or One Night Werewolf. They're really all kind of the same game. Social deduction. One or more players are secretly werewolves, and every night they kill someone. And the next morning, everyone else has to figure out who did it and try to put clues together, and it always turns into mob mentality. Now, there's a couple of vampire games out of the market, which itself could be a vlog as well. Could be the same vlog. Just take werewolf out of most of this statement and put vampire in it, and it pretty much means the same thing. But I have seen a few more vampire games than werewolves. But why? It's not a hard concept to get around. I don't really think creating the rules to run a werewolf is any more difficult than creating the rules to run a character that has multiple stances that they're able to use, you know, such as level 7 Omega Protocol. They do that in that game and it works perfectly, very smoothly actually, just as it does in Firefly. So why aren't we seeing more werewolf games? They're a beautiful staple of the horror genre. they're nowhere to be found. Maybe like the real wolf, they're a dying species. Maybe we no longer feel the need to fear the werewolf. Collectively as humans, maybe we're seeing their plight, and that's why we're not recognizing them as monsters much anymore. But that doesn't change the fact that werewolves need to be in more board games. Especially now, this time of year. October, Halloween. It's perfect. Yeah. There's a few games I know where werewolves are in it, or werewolf-like monsters are in it, like in the first Spectre Ops game. One of the hunters is a werewolf creature, but he doesn't have any ability to change. He can't turn into a wolf, he can't turn into a human, he's always in his hybrid form. Or a term I've always loved ever since the White Wolf, Werewolf, the Apocalypse game, the Krynos form. A terrible hybrid man, wolf head, humanoid body, and hind legs of a wolf, claws. Yeah, there really needs to be more. And, you know, we keep seeing so many of the same genre. We keep seeing so many zombie games, so many Cthulhu games. And I'm quite sure that, maybe not a lot, but some of these games could probably be fairly easily reskinned, maybe to a werewolf theme. Not that I want to see reskinnings to make, you know, a good werewolf game, but it's just a point that I'm bringing up, that it doesn't seem that difficult to incorporate werewolves, whether protagonist or antagonist, into a game. I want to see more werewolves. I want to see more werewolves! Yeah! Yeah! All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to me talk about this, wonder about this out loud. Thank you very much. As well as for going over to Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and checking out, see what Two Gun Pixie's doing over there. Very cool that you do that. Thank you so much. And also, there's the Two Gun Pixie Zazzle store, our print on demand. We have hats and shirts, hoodies, flip-flops, cooking apron, mouse pads, drinking cups, steins, and they're all nerd-based or RPG-based verbal humor on them. So we've had a couple of sales. That means people have been checking it out. And that's really all I ask. Because you're not going to know whether you want something unless you at least go take a look. Thank you. I'm your buddy Big Johnny G. The Two Gun Pixie presents... All my werewolves knew what I said.